How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella, and today we are doing another horror movies to watch or avoid episode. And we have 5 that are kind of mixed. So that's good. The first one I could have sworn I've done before, but I can't seem to find it in my collection anywhere. And we ended up picking up a new copy for $4. So if you've seen this before on this channel, I apologize. I don't remember doing it, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because it's kind of weird. So the horror movie I'm talking about is Raw, or Grave, depending on what language you want to translate this from. So let's talk about this. This movie starts off with this young teenage lady who gets, I guess, initiated at her college, and she's going through to be a veterinarian. And at some point, she, for whatever reason, decides to try like blood and human flesh, even though she's a vegetarian. So I don't know why she decides to do that. There's not really at the beginning a very clear reason why. She just decides to start trying blood and human flesh, and she kind of slowly starts getting into this cannibalistic endeavor. Cannibalistic endeavor, I don't think that's the right word for it, but anyways, she gets more and more kind of breaking out of her shell as a teenager and experiencing the college life, but also doing more twisted, messed up things. At one point, she accidentally cuts off her sister's finger and decides to eat it, and she ends up taking a bite out of her gay roommate's neck, and she gets into a fight with her sister, and they end up biting pieces of each other off, and it's pretty messed up. So yeah, basically a cannibalistic college veterinarian mix film, and it's also foreign, so if you don't like foreign movies and you're not a fan of watching subtitles, you probably won't dig this. But some of the graphic, gory parts in this are kind of weird. Some of the oddities in here are definitely worth watching and, you know, going like, what the fuck, and cringing about. So you definitely need an attention span for it. If you aren't used to foreign films or having to put subtitles on, it's a little bit distracting because you're kind of having to watch the subtitles half the time and watch the movie the other half the time. So you might have to rewind a couple of scenes or whatnot if you're not used to that. But yeah, there's definitely some really weird and interesting stuff in this. Considering it's a subtitled film, I give it about a 7.5 out of 10. It's good. It's weird. It's not something you see every day. It's a little unnerving, and some of the scenes are kind of cringy. Not because they're like badly acted or anything. It's just like, oh my god, it's a lot to take in. So yeah, let me know what you think of Raw. I enjoy it, considering it's like a foreign horror movie. All right, next, it's called a thriller, but I really don't know. And this isn't like a recent movie. This one's from 2010. But anywho, it stars Ellen Page and Cillian Murphy. This is called Peacock. It's basically this guy who loses his mother and doesn't really seem to cope with it well. So he forms this kind of Norman Bates personality where he dresses up as a woman after he's done working at his day job. When he comes home, he puts on like a wig and a dress and stuff, and walks around his house pretending he's a woman, potentially his mother. I'm not sure. I don't think that's ever really fully disclaimed, but he does that, and there's nothing really big of a deal until this train ends up derailing and the caboose lands in his backyard. So then city officials and people start kind of paying more attention to where he lives in his house and the backyard and all that. Some city officials want to use the caboose as some sort of platform to spout their political stances and campaign there for some reason, instead of just cleaning the fucking thing up. I don't understand why that happens in this, but whatever. So anyways, the people in the town and neighborhood start realizing that there's this, young woman living with the guy here, and they're trying to figure out who she is. It's him as the woman dressed up, and somehow none of them clue in that it's him. I guess you're supposed to believe that they all see him convincingly as a woman, but they all think she's his wife, and he ends up calling the woman persona Emma, and then this young lady in the movie, Ellen Page's character, comes along with this young boy or kid and basically says, oh, your mother's been paying me to look after this boy for whatever reason. I don't think they even really explain why. And then he's like, oh, well, my mother's been dead for a year. And she's like, yeah, I guess that's why the checks haven't been coming. And then she forms a relationship with him and forms a relationship with his Emma persona. And at this point, you're probably wondering, so where's the horror or thriller part of this come into play? And I'm going to have to tell you, I don't fucking know. There's nothing thrilling or suspenseful or horror related in this movie whatsoever, unless I just completely fucking blanked for that maybe 10-15 minutes of the movie. I don't know, but there's nothing horrific about it. There's nothing thrilling about it. It's actually quite the boring fucking movie, unless you find men dressing up as women super duper exciting and new in 2019. So yeah, the tagline is, this small town has a big secret. If your small town's big secret is a man dressing up as a woman in his spare time, your small town is fucking boring. And so is this movie. And as such, I give it a 2 out of 10. I don't know why anyone would ever watch this, especially when considering it for potential as a thriller. This is not a thriller movie. This is not a horror movie. This is a boring, sort of dramatic drama. It's not even a drama. It's probably why no one's heard of this fucking movie. And if you've heard of this, let me know, and maybe you can explain to me why it's considered a thriller. So yeah, 2 out of 10. Garbage, boring, not interesting. The only thing interesting about this movie is that Ellen Page back then still looked somewhat attractive and didn't look like a butchy lesbian. And Cillian, what the fuck is his name? Cillian Murphy's not too hard on the eyes either. So there's that. All right, next, moving on to an actual horror movie. This one came out pretty recently. It was actually really, really good. It kind of reminded me of a cross between You're Next and Would You Rather. Anyways, what I'm talking about is Ready or Not. This woman is about to get married, and the husband brings her to the family's house to play a traditional game, and they have to pick a card to find out what the game is. Their game is hide and seek, but this game of hide and seek involves a satanic curse and ritual to keep the family wealthy and healthy and prosperous. So, unfortunately, drawing the hide and seek card, as opposed to chess or Monopoly, makes them all have to kill her before dawn, or else their fucking fortune and youth and all that and the deal with the devil is broken. So, ready or not, the entire family is now coming to kill you as best as they can for incompetent yuppies. So there's that. This is actually pretty entertaining. There's some humor, there's some gore, there's some twists that you're sort of not expecting. I mean, I kind of figured that what happens at the end was going to happen, because certain things kind of point in that direction briefly here and there. And yeah, it's really, really good. The only complaint that I have about this might be just the way some of the characters die at the very end. It's a very unoriginal and unthought-provoking way of dying. I wish they died in a little bit more gruesome and more thoughtful, creative way. Maybe closer to the way the one guy dies at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he opens up the Ark of the Covenant. That would have been an interesting way to die, but not the way they die at the end of this. It's still funny. because blood and guts and the way shit hits the fan. But all in all, good movie, enjoyable, very modern take on kind of like a cat and mouse horror thriller movie. Really, really good. The acting's fairly decent. It's not amazing, but it's pretty decent considering. So yeah, Ready or Not, definitely check it out. Worth your money. I'm gonna give it a 8.5 out of 10. Not sure this is. Oh, it's Fox Searchlight Pictures, so that'll probably be the last time you see that because Fox is bought out by Disney. So if you favor Fox for any reason, there you go. Also, it kind of has that Blumhouse Pictures kind of feel to it. So if you like any of those kind of non supernatural Blumhouse Pictures films, this kind of has that feel to it, even though there is a satanic curse or deal with the devil supernatural thing about it, but this feels more like a non-supernatural Blumhouse Pictures kind of movie. But yeah, really good, 8.5 out of 10. All right, second last film here. This one is a Shudder exclusive, so thanks to Walmart for having Shudder exclusive films. That's nice. This one is Ruin Me. The cover makes it look like it might be a little more serial killer-esque, but it's not. The premise of this is basically this couple go to this event where they have to sign a waiver that allows the members of this kind of horror organization to be able to torture them and like scare them and do perverted things and this and that. They have to sign a waiver basically saying they're allowed to get up in their grill and like really rough them up and give them the ultimate horror experience, right? So they're paid to get scared basically and go through this crazy adventure. But throughout the movie, you're kind of wondering, is this part of the experience, or is things really going off the rails and going wrong? Is this supposed to be happening, or is this real, basically? And you don't really know. There's moments here and there where it's like, oh, okay, this seems like part of the setup, and then there's other moments where you're like, well, that doesn't seem like it's supposed to be happening. It seems like people are really getting fucked up, and they're not supposed to be getting fucked up. And then there's like a little side story going on where there's another character who's injecting their own revenge and plot into this kind of fun horror event. So yeah, there's more than meets the eye with this film that's going on. Some of the acting could be better. There's like this goth couple in here that the acting's kind of super cringe, but the rest of the characters, they have about a B- level of acting. So most of it's all right. It's pretty good. I would recommend checking it out. It's got a couple of twists and turns here, and it kind of keeps you guessing what's actually happening or what's real and what's part of the horror event that these people signed up for. All in all, really good. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Check out Ruin Me. Once again, I found this at Walmart, so you could probably find it there too. I think we paid maybe 12 bucks Canadian for it, so it's also a decent price. Nice little rip-roaring ode to the slasher, as it says. I enjoyed it. All right, last one. Now, this one so badly wanted to be the Frozen horror movie from years ago before the Disney Frozen animated thing was a thing. So that we had hopes. We saw this and we're like, oh man, this sort of looks like the Frozen horror movie. We should definitely check this out. And yeah, this one's called Break. It is a Russian thriller kind of horror suspense film. So, needless to say, there is a lot of subtitles in this. The acting was like a D+ at best, C- at best. There is some really weird plot / scene choices in this. There's a part where one of them has to make a decision to cut one of the others loose, otherwise it'll fuck all the rest of them over. But it's done in such a non-caring, nonchalant manner that you're like, this should have been more dramatic. There should have been a little bit more of a build-up to the actual cutting the person loose and letting them fall to their death. It should have seemed like you felt more and the characters cared a little bit more that this was happening. But nope. And you don't see him on here, and I can't really show him to you. There's this kind of this fat Charlie Sheen looking guy. He's a dick. Holy shit. At least that's one part of this movie they really made you feel. They really made you feel that fucking fat Charlie Sheen guy was a huge dick and like really didn't care about his friends at all. He was just there to get fucked up, drink, and try to get a piece of ass. Like that was his entire purpose of being with them. He didn't care about his friends. He didn't care about anything else. He only cared about himself. He ends up becoming like this really sadistic asshole by the end of the movie, and you're, spoiler alert, glad to see him die. Man. So at least they did that well. They made you hate a character really, really well. It wasn't very suspenseful. There's a lot of like head scratching parts in this too. You're like, why? Why would this happen? Why would the characters act this way or that way? How are they not fucking freezing to death? It's got to be like minus 10 to minus 20 degrees plus like 40 or 50 mile an hour winds up there. At some point, the main chick is running around in just a sweater, and she's just walking around. It's like, yeah, you know, it's mild. It's mild, you know, it's not too bad. No, it's fucking minus 20 and winds at 10,000 feet high, or 11,000 feet high, apparently. No, you'd be freezing. You'd be dead. You'd go into an anaphylactic shock. But nope, they're just walking around like it's just a brisk, you know, spring day. So, yeah. There is some alright points in this movie, but not enough for me to be able to recommend you guys watch this. Like, if you really, really, really liked the Frozen horror movie, maybe get this for $2 if it's in like a used section somewhere. But no, this was not worth the 12 or 13 or 14 bucks we paid for it. That's for damn sure. And once again, it's Russian, so you have to put on the subtitles. And the acting was garbage. So 2 out of 10, same rating as that Peacock movie, but at least this was horror, at least this was a thriller, at least it made sense to be genre titled that way. But man, avoid this one if you can. So that's it. That's this stack of horror movies to watch or avoid. Hope you enjoyed, hope you saw something new. Let me know if you've seen any of these. Cheers, and that is it. For glory, for the Rebel Alliance, Slammerella out.